Yo, what up, what up? For HYPEBEAST Radio, this is Manny, and this is Soundcheck, a show that looks to discover the origin story of your favorite artists and major players in the music industry. We ask the questions that you always wanted to get answered, and you never know who may pop by. Don't forget, we will very soon be separating the 3 shows on Hype Radio, so you will have to go and individually subscribe to the shows you want to listen to. Search and subscribe right now to the HBR show, Business of Hype, and Soundcheck on HYPEBEAST Radio or Hype Radio to keep listening. Do it now so you don't miss any episodes. Okay, let's get into this week's episode. For the Season 3 opener of Soundcheck, we talked to Vivian Host of Peak Time on Red Bull Radio, Timmhotep Aku, senior editor at Pitchfork, and Eric Diep, a seasoned hip-hop journalist, about this year's Grammys and discuss what we love, what we hated, and so much more. Welcome back to Soundcheck. All right, this is Season 3 of Soundcheck. We may change the name, so look out for that in the future. So this is Hype Radio, and today we are doing our first roundtable, and this is a special one because it's after the Grammys, like the day after. So it's a lot to talk about, and I'll let my fabulous guests introduce themselves. I guess starting with Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Diep. I'm a freelance hip-hop journalist. You can find my work on Complex, Billboard, Hip Hop DX, every rap blog on the planet.
And this is Timmhotep Aku. I am senior editor at Pitchfork. I run the level section. And you can read my stuff over there. Go to pitchfork.com/levels.
My name is Vivian Host. I'm a DJ and a journalist, and I host Peak Time, the daily show on Red Bull Radio, every day from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
So the 61st Grammy Awards will happen Tuesday, February 10th. It was really interesting show, super long.
Tuesday?
Oh, excuse me, Sunday, correction.
Sunday.
Long day.
It's all good, man.
And it was really interesting, super long. There's a lot to talk about, but I guess the first thing we can do, I like to have this as an open conversation, more of just like just sitting down, talking at a bar rather than just, hey, what's your thoughts?
Yeah.
So I guess, I'm going to start off with a general, what's your thoughts? But I guess what's something that stuck out to you, general thoughts about the night? That's the first thing that came after the end of the show. What were you just like, that's the most thing that was interesting to you?
Being a hip hop guy, coming from a hip hop perspective and running a hip hop section for a music site, of course, I'm focused on hip hop, right? It's been 30 years since 1989 when the Grammys had their first hip hop category, Best Rap Performance. Mm-hmm. And in that time, like, just watching the Grammys has always been a very frustrating, experience for a hip hop person who is like looking to it for validation. I think a lot of times the assumption from people in the artist community and the fan community is that the Grammys evenly and more or less objectively appraise music. Like, that's what it seems like. But then when you look at who's nominated and who actually wins, you're like, oh, this is a dub. This is fuck out of here.
Yeah, very much so.
And so for me, like, watching, some of the Grammys, seeing how they kind of did Drake, seeing like weird shit like ties between songs or whatever.
Yeah, that was this year.
Like, there was a lot of stuff that was just like, this is questionable.
Yeah.
So my overall take was just like, did you guys get it right?
At the same time, I felt like they made a really big effort. Compared to if you would have watched the Grammys 10 years ago, they obviously made a big effort to be more inclusive to hip-hop because they know that everybody in the rap community is just like, so many people sat the Grammys out this year. That was notable to me from watching past Grammys. It's like Childish, Gambino won big. He wasn't there. Even Ariana Grande sat the Grammys out. Even Taylor Swift sat it out. Kendrick Lamar. Like, the list goes on. There was a lot of people that weren't there, which wouldn't have happened, I don't think, in years past because people would have been more like, oh my God, I'm winning a Grammy. Like, I got to go. And then also, I just thought it was notable how many women were on stage. They obviously
100%.
tipped the scales in a very noticeable fashion, from having Alicia Keys host to all the performances to when, Michelle Obama got up there with Lady Gaga and they did that, tour de force of all 5 of them up there. Yeah. I mean, that really stuck out to me.
Yeah. I feel like they were like obligated to do these
100%
things, to be inclusive, to represent women, because like the news for the past couple of years about them has been like, wait, hip hop is like Grammy's racist, Grammy's sexist. Yeah. Right? Portnoy, sexist. Yeah. Right? Like, you guys fumbling Me Too. Right? All that stuff. So, like, they had to. And I think they did step it up. I think one of the things I was happy about was that there were so many women represented, especially, like, women of color represented there. Yeah. So
100%. Michelle Obama.
That's a bar. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. She got the most applause of the whole night.
It was crazy. You know what? I was like, she should host next year. I say she should 100% host next year.
That would be wild.
Crazy wild.
That would be crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised if she does. I mean, they couldn't get the audience to shut up like long enough for her to talk.
Exactly.
What did everybody think about Alicia Keys hosting?
I thought it was a C+. I was expecting, not gonna lie, I was expecting it to be horrible. And I love Alicia Keys, but if you know Alicia Keys, she's just not the person who can entertain a crowd. And so she's a brilliant musician, but as a host, I just feel like that's a different level of skill set. And so I thought she did good, but it was like, it was I can't remember, was it James Corden that hosted? Yeah, I literally Corbin. Yeah, I was like, she did just as good as him, maybe even better. But it was nothing that stood out. It was nothing that like you'd be like, oh yeah, she can be a host again. But she 100% did better than I thought.
You did not think that her playing 2 pianos and doing a medley that went from Coldplay to Kings of Leon, and then she played Juice WRLD.
Bro. I thought that was a highlight of the day. But there was weird moments throughout the show. Like, there was one time they came back from commercial break and she was just literally talking to people. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, yeah, there's a show going on right now. And
I kind of like that, though.
I was like, all right, that's weird. And then, like, it was I don't know. It just wasn't as fluid or, I guess, entertaining as I wanted to be. But it was still good. Like, I'm not saying that she was bad. It was like if you can give it graded as far as grades as a grading scale, it would be like an 81. So it'd be
wow, that's not even a C+. That's like a B, bro.
Yeah, it would be 81. Man. Yeah, I would give it a B. I would give it a B minus. It was like a
You're
nice
the professor I wanted in college.
Yeah, it was like all right. Like, but I'd like the strong parts were when she did a melody, the 2 pianos, and it was something that I feel like a new generation had never seen. But as you see on Twitter, it happened before in 1943. I forgot the young woman, not the young woman, the artist's name who did that before. So I thought that was a nice little homage to that. And the fact that she did a melody of cover of Juice WRLD blew my mind. I was just like, whoa, his stock just went up.
He has one of the hugest songs of last year, right? Yeah. They had to acknowledge it in some way. I felt like her acrobatics with the 2 pianos was kind of like, we don't have nobody else to perform. Can you do a medley? And she did a medley. Like, as a host, I felt like she was kind of like a little shaky. I think she has like the personality for it. And that's no knock on her, but I feel like an actor, someone with like acting chops or comedy chops would be better. I feel like J-Lo would have been an amazing host. I also feel like she was a little low-key sabotaged by some of the direction. I feel like, those awkward moments? Yeah. I feel like that's on the person producing and directing that day.
Yeah. So one awkward moment, and I don't know if anyone caught this, but I definitely struck me weird, was then Swiss Beats and Eve came up to the stage to present. Yeah. And Swiss Beats had a Grammy, and he gave it to her, and she's like, I'm the host, like, I think she give it to someone else. I'm literally think I'm probably putting in words in there. And she was like, what are you doing? He's like, take this. And I'm just like, she's like, I can't take, I'm the host. And he's like, no, take it. And she took it. And I was just like, that's weird. What the hell is going on?
You switch into like husband mode.
Yeah. I was like, why? It was just confusing.
There were a lot of awkward moments. I mean, there were some awkward moments in the pre-show, red carpet thing. Yes. Like, I was really happy to see Eve there, and she looked really amazing.
Oh, amazing.
I haven't seen Eve before in like full, Grammys dress and like hosting, but there were a lot of awkward moments with her and the other people interviewing people on the red carpet. Yeah. It was kind of hard to watch.
I wonder, do people even care about that anymore?
Because red carpet?
Yeah.
I would say like super fans would like to watch that pre-show stuff. That Billboard had one. It was like from 5:30 all the way up until when the show started. That's when you got to see Pusha T like say that he said that his bigger accomplishment was getting the Complex Best Rapper Alive thing over the rap nomination.
Oh wow.
So and that's how you get memes. Like we wouldn't have this meme of Katy Perry's dress. Somebody had like photoshopped it onto a paint roller. I thought it looked like a cotton candy machine, but that's where you got to get the outfit shot for the meme.
That's definitely where all the memes are at in the red carpet.
And if you're into fashion, it's red carpet. Like you want to see what these people are wearing to this huge event, the biggest night in music, so called. That's where you check it.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know. I definitely didn't see it. I guess during watching CBS on the red carpet, but there were, I guess they spotted a trend where it was two artists who they're now calling it the Trump fits. When it came with
what's the name? What's the name? Joya Villa.
Villa and Ricky Rebel. They came in pro Trump. And I was like, this could be. This is a thing now.
What? What's a Trump fit?
So this woman wore a dress. She's a MAGA supporter, and so she wore a dress with bricks on it. And when you spread out the back of it, it says "Build the Wall."
Yeah.
Oh man.
So my question is, why do people keep on fucking inviting these people to award shows?
Probably literally just for the press. Just to be like, you know what, we can get some press in there.
It's like enabling goofiness. And I'm like, y'all invite her, but wait a second, where was the 21 Savage shout out during the entire thing?
Okay.
Talk about it.
Wait a minute. Isn't there a thing where if you're part of the Grammy voters, you can pay a certain amount for a ticket and go to the Grammys?
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
You're dropping knowledge?
I think so.
There's probably a super PAC buying her ticket. It's like a Trump super PAC buying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they get on the red carpet, but like presumably they have to walk in the venue at some point.
Coachella VIP pass?
Yeah.
Wow. But I want to get back to two things. I think what was previously said are the two biggest things of the night. One was the amount of women that were on stage and just present at the Grammys, and the second was rap having a strong night. Something that was both, I guess, surprising and also delightful, is that the word for it. But first with rap, I think it was cool that Cardi B becoming the first solo female artist to win the best rap album. I think that was amazing. But instantly when she won, I was like, damn, she's not winning album of the year. I was like, yeah, that's over. And I thought it was cool with Childish Gambino because I honestly thought, especially after the news that he declined performing, that I was like, okay, he probably is going to win video, because that's without a doubt. That's the best video.
Yeah, it's
that's 2018. But I'm not sure with the records, both record and song, because I thought Shallow, I was like, come on, like Shallow.
I was for sure.
Yeah.
That was
Shallow was it.
And can I keep it real and be controversial? Shallow is a better song. How about I never want to hear This Is America when I'm out. I never play it in the car. I never rap the lyrics to myself. I don't want to hear it in the party.
Oh, wow.
Bro.
Okay. Do you want to do the dances, though?
In the privacy of my own home with intoxicants in me.
Because there were so many Childish Gambino commercials.
Yeah. It was the same one. Dance battling his like CG twin or whatever.
Yeah. Pixel 3.
Yeah. But I feel like I think Grammys does this thing where they kind of like they seek appeasement and like adjacency to cool, but they never really hit the nail on the head. Like that song, none of us think that song, like it beat out, like none of us think that song is a fire song we want to hear all the time, right? Like it's not, right? So it's like, I felt like that was just like, oh, Donald Glover's hot and he's making a statement. Let's acknowledge him by giving him these 3 awards. And I felt like it was low-key a slap in the face because no hip-hop has ever won Record of the Year or Song of the Year. And this is the one y'all choose?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I think looking at that, I definitely see the apprehension just because there's in the past there's so many bigger and better records that A, should have been nominated or 2 should have won. But I definitely thought that it had I didn't think Childish was going to win, but I was like, it's a strong enough record to get recognized. I think the video 100% magnified the record. Yeah, 100%. But I honestly generally enjoy the record, and it does. I'm telling you, play it at a club. It's nice.
Can you send me a video of yourself dancing to the record and recreating the video? I just need to understand the context.
Tim wants to hear "Shallow" in the club.
Let's hear "Shallow" in the club.
Shallow comes on. He's like,
I have a lighter specifically for that. I can bust out and.
I was 100% surprised with Shallow not winning Song of the Year, just for the fact that Song of the Year is specifically for the songwriting, and I'm just like, that should win without a doubt, without a doubt.
What's the lyrics to "This Is America" versus "Shallow"? I know I'm hot right now, but like.
And honestly, I thought Drake's God's Plan was going to win Record of the Year just because of just the magnitude of it. I just thought that record, since it was first teased during New Year's Eve of January 1st, 2018, at that video of the house party, the video of the New Year's Eve party that went viral, till the day it officially dropped during Scary Hours EP, till the video out, and just the impact of that. I thought that record was like, that has to win Record of the Year. It was just a full thing. But
it's interesting if you pull out for a little bit and not just think of it as the Grammys as like what is truly the best song, like what is truly the banger, and you think about it in a more like cultural context of like the music of the year. And there was so much conversation 100%. In music about what was going on with politics, personal and, world politics, U.S. politics. There was so much, like we were saying, like the Grammys is trying to address the sexism and the racism of past years. Yeah. And so in some way, in terms of what was talked about this year, you could say maybe This Is America.
Sure.
A lot of people engaged with that and talked about that, and there were many think pieces, and there were many, it struck a chord. I'm not saying I think it's the best actual song. I don't.
Yeah, you're looking at it as like, this song ain't gonna bang in the club.
No, but I'm also like, that song specifically felt more. The gesture by the Grammys felt more symbolic than substantial. Yeah. I feel like if you want to approach the topics at hand or whatever, there are way more songs that actually talk about things that are going on in the world in specific terms. What happened after the video came out for that song is like everybody interpreted their own way, and Donald Glover said nothing. Now, there are people who put out art that they can stand behind and be like, Mitski be like, this means this, right? So for me, it felt a little like, hit the nail on the head. Don't just swing the hammer. Feel me? I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely want to say the best rap category, the nomination, I was really happy for. I thought it was a solid, honestly, me being a Nipsey fan, I was like, yes. Yeah. Thank God. He deserves it. He's consistently been one of the best rappers since he came out. And so I really enjoyed that. I thought Pusha T was going to win. I was like, he finally get one. He should have won with the Clips. He finally about to get one. I thought he was going to do it. I never thought Mac Miller was going to win. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. I never thought he was going to win, but I was happy they nominated him because that was personally like one of the best albums of last year, and it made sense. It was his best project. The tragedy that happened. It's just like, this makes sense. This is something you should do.
So you were happy with the nominations? I
was happy. I was just very like, man, I was just really hoping that rap won both Album of the Year and rap, and then of course Pusha got a grant. I was like,
just let them sweep.
Pushing. I was like,
hip hop to sweep.
As like someone who grew up with hip hop and just like seeing it continually just not get represented at the award ceremony, I was like, man, what if we sweep? Like, what if we really take best album, best record, and then Pusha T gets his just due? I was like, that would make my night.
But Cardi winning is kind of going back to what you said in the beginning about the female representation.
100%.
Like getting that award already. She's one of the few artists that are able to. What is she doing? She's literally like rewriting history.
100%.
Every time she's like doing something, it gets everybody like really happy that she's doing it. Like She's come from nothing, man. She's started from the bottom type of story is Cardi B.
That Pepsi commercial, I was watching. I was like, oh my god, I think she may be as big as Drake. I may be wilding, but I was like everyone in every demographic and every age group knows who Cardi B now is, without a doubt.
That's true.
I was just like, and the fact that she did 2 commercials and the second one was Dolo, like it was just I was like, oh my god, she's massive. I couldn't I don't know. It just hit me like, man, like she made in a year and some change, she went from the Bronx to being on not even like the main cast of hip hop, Love and Hip Hop,
DJ Self kicking himself
to being a global superstar. And that was just like telling. But you know what's sad? Immediately after she won, and it was just a joyous period, people immediately went to like Cardi versus Nicki, and it killed me.
Did you guys keep up with that?
And so here's where we at now. Breakdown. So like immediately after, everyone was celebrating Cardi B. Then people were like, damn, Nicki must be in her grave, just, rolling her grave, blah, blah, blah. Nicki's done, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just and then it went to the extreme where BT sent out a tweet.
Can you quote the tweet?
Oh my God. I wish I could, but it essentially said Cardi B is pulling the wig off Nicki Minaj. Something to that extent. It was shady and it was unnecessary. And I was just like, I cannot believe we still doing this in 2019.
Meanwhile, Nicki Minaj is being dragged by her lace front.
So I'm just like, why do we always have to put people against each other? Nicki Minaj was doing this for a decade more. She just broke 100 million records. So like, she's breaking records that people just don't break, and it's still just fuck you, Cardi B. It's like they can both exist and both thrive. Like I just understand.
But you should also explain that to Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I think you're making a very valid point or whatever. But I also feel like both of the parties played into it to a certain extent. Sure. I did feel like Cardi tried to stay above the fray in a lot of ways. But Queen Radio, you know what I'm talking about. That's like
she's coming.
I think it's really irresponsible on the part of a publication or an outlet or whatever to engage in it in that way and stoke the fires. So I think that's super whack.
Also an outlet like BET. Like,
exactly.
I mean, the Cardi Nicki beef is on TMZ now, and that's been really notable for me to see how much in the last year or two TMZ has picked up on rap beef. And
they've done that in the last 5 years.
It's like a huge part of their coverage. But like for BET, which I feel like, makes a point of celebrating like Black excellence to engage in that lowbrow thing. And also, I don't know though. I realized like I saw Cardi B perform at MoMA PS1 a few years ago with A$AP Ferg, kind of like right as she was super ascending. Yeah. And I realized like she's Joan Rivers, like her banter in between songs, she is hilarious.
Amazing.
And relatable and good at rapping and, can work a stripper pole. Like she's got it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and she's got that funny, relatable thing that makes her able to carry 2 Pepsi commercials.
Exactly.
And that's the core of her personality. Because like, if you want to take it back beyond music, she established her following on social media. I knew her as the funny girl who's like a hoe don't get cold on Instagram, seeing her pop up on Tumblr when people rip the videos, right? Like her relatability is something that is the real thing that's carried her. Yeah. Like I think she's a serviceable rapper or whatever, but I feel like her persona and how much we relate to her story and the fact that she has those 1 in a trillion rags to riches stories is why we are so much into her or whatever. And also like, Cardi is sharp in terms of how she looks at things in terms of like politics and socially. Like she doesn't talk like, okay, I have a master's degree in women's studies, but she be saying the real shit, right? The anti-slut shaming shit or whatever, pro-black shit, all that anti-poverty shaming shit. And she's been on that for years. And I think a lot of people,
government shutdown,
we're all into that. We want to see her win. And I think it's rare to see somebody who exists in pop culture who we all want to see win. You can't say that for Kylie Jenner. You feel me? Like you can't say that for any other celebrity,
She's also like, I mean, she's really good at turning around stuff to her own advantage or not engaging in the whole thing. Like Ariana came for her and was saying like, she was going off on Twitter because she's super upset about Mac Miller's passing and like, saying that was bullshit, that he didn't win and trash and all that. And then Cardi just turned it around and was like, oh, like this one's for him too. Like I talked to his parents, just made a good situation out of something that she could have been mired in the drama. So
took the high road.
Smart.
What's up with Ariana with the tweet and delete, yo? Like, yo, you were too. Because here's the thing, Ariana is young, but she's not a baby, and she's very experienced, and she's not stupid.
She went Grammy last night too.
I'm like, why did you like? It bugged me out when I saw this stuff. I was like, why are you? I know you're emotional, but like, you know better than this.
Maybe she was at one of those Grammy parties where they do shots. She was like six shots in.
Quite possibly.
I think when we look back at it, when we look at this Cardi run right now, it's going to be one of the best runs we ever seen in the music period. Because since I would say late 2017 to now, I've just never seen someone go from 0 to 100 this fast and this big. And so it was just exciting to see. And then in a low-key moment, Young Thug winning a Grammy. And I thought that was like insane, but also pretty cool. I'm just like, wow, here's someone who's been out for like only been like a couple of years, and he just got a Grammy. And I'm just like, and it made me think, man, I hope Young Thug goes back to Barter 6 and goes back to that
we're on
era.
the same page because that's my favorite Young Thug project. Yeah.
Love good. Barter 6. Yeah. Love I'm Up.
Yeah.
Like King Troop.
Slime Season 3. Yeah.
King Troop is one of my favorite songs. I'm just like, maybe I want to hear a complete. I took time to make this Young Thug record and to see if he gets another Grammy for his music. But we'll see. And then, all right, so second biggest moment was the representation of women at the Grammys. I thought they did a pretty good job of just like pushing that, especially since the step up comments from last year. I think that all went crazy when he talked about it, and now I was like really insensitive, and I was like, man, it's just not that simple. I was like,
it's some condescending ass shit to be like, yo, step up.
Step up.
Meanwhile, you're shutting women out of the conversation. Like I was talking to a woman who's a writer about country music. She's like, yo, most country radio doesn't play women.
Yeah,
which is fucking incredible to me.
It's just, I'm just like, when I read it, I was like, this guy's insane. So this year, it definitely was like a push, especially from last year. I guess, did you feel that it was genuine? Did you feel that it was something that was taken seriously? Let's start off from there.
I mean, the thing about the Grammys that's unfortunate, but I think is probably true of all award shows that are as big on this level, is like you're always thinking something is not genuine. You know what I mean? Like you always have to question it. It's like we're questioning it on as far as like who won in the rap categories, who won in the best album categories. You question it with the women thing too. I mean, I definitely think they went above and beyond trying to hammer that point home. Mm-hmm. That said, like at a certain point, does it matter? Like those performances were great. It was great to see the balance super tip the other way because it makes you realize how rare that is that you ever see more women than men on the stage. So, I thought that the St. Vincent Dua Lipa performance was really cool.
Yes.
There were definitely some moments where I felt like it was very awkward between the women involved on stage, but that could just be because they're batshit crazy. Yeah. That could not be like a gender issue. I felt like in the Dolly Parton tribute when Miley Cyrus and Katy Perry both seemed like they were trying to upstage Dolly Parton, and Miley Cyrus being her goddaughter, right? Yes. It was hard to watch. I was like counting the seconds until it stopped.
100%. So when I was watching, I was like, this is really competitive right now. Like I think that's the first thing I thought of, and I was like, oh, Dolly, like I was like, oh, she's doing a good job and she's doing her thing. And then I 100% felt what you were saying. And then also my disdain for Miley just came out. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, let me go. I was cooking at the time. I was like, let me just go flip the wings I got in the oven right now and just come back to when this is over. But yeah, that's what I thought too. I guess we can start it there. General thoughts on Miley Cyrus. I just thought she was featured a lot.
She's OD. I think she's trying to rebrand herself. I think she obviously has a natural talent. She's a really good singer or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
I think they try to shoehorn her in a couple things. I think she made sense for Dolly Parton, but the interaction was really strange to me because I really felt like she was like shouting in her face a lot, and even Dolly's facial expression looked like, what the fuck, could you take a chill pill? And I appreciate her voice, but I really felt like the moment should have been about Dolly, not trying to outsing her on fucking Jolene. Like, it's she's the queen of this shit, right? Like, let her shine, and you're there to support her, not like take away, you know what I'm saying, the attention from her.
But Miley was doing that in the performance with Shawn Mendes too, where she was kind of jumping the gun and just going over him, and I was like,
OD.
Dang.
That performance to me, I was like, first, it's like, what's up with the piano going on fire and the Lord of the Rings thing going on right now? And then I thought that before. I was like, man, this is a little bit weird, but whatever.
What'd you think about Janelle Monáe's performance?
I love Janelle Monáe's performance.
I thought that shit was crazy.
I love the friends I was like watching it with. They were giving it a little bit of criticism because it was too much like Prince. Like, it wasn't original.
But Prince, literally, like, he helped out with the making of the album. That was her man's in them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Prince was a mentor.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if he rubs off in the music, I understand. Just because she idolized Prince. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was a strong performance. And I don't know. I feel like Janelle could have got more shine. That was weird to say. I don't know. I just really love Janelle. I thought her project album was stellar. I thought it was really solid, and I was like, man, I don't know. Maybe she could have presented, or I don't know. It just felt like she was there, but not.
I thought it was a really beautiful performance. I mean, it looked, whoever put that thing together with the choreography and all the costumes, like, did an amazing job. But how about the fact that she said, my vagina needs a monologue on the Grammys?
Yes, that was
crazy.
I was like, did she say that? I was like, it didn't get bleeped out.
Moms all over America were like, oh.
Who introduced her? It was Alicia, right? Alicia was like, she taught us how to see pink in a new way. Yeah. That was another like winking nod at vaginas.
Like my musical partner or something like that.
Yeah.
I 100% thought there were going to be an outcry because of that right after. Because I was like, and I searched on Twitter, but no one really said anything. But maybe because it was really quick.
The moms are still working on their memes. It takes like 48 to 64 hours for mom to bake a meme. She can't fire it off real quick like that.
It's gonna be on Facebook too.
So we're never gonna see it.
But I definitely think, I guess, when I finished, I was like, I thought about, and I read, there were some pieces that talked about, yes, there was more representation at this show, but there is lack of representation in general within music right now. And I was like, is this a right step? Is this over? Is this just something to mask what's happened last year? And so I guess I'm just really interested to see how does this change things going forward? Just because I think I think what usually happens is we overdo it, and then it comes back to the norm. And so that's a good point. I'm just very apprehensive now to say like this is a good step. This one just needs to be continued on a regular basis. So I'm just excited to see what happens.
I mean, on the note of like things feeling shoehorned in or tailored to the Grammys agenda, what did you guys think of the J-Lo Motown super tribute? That felt a little over the top.
It was I think she's a great, I think, all right, so there's dance elements to it.
A great wearer of hats.
She's great at costume changes. Yeah. She had more costume changes in her segment than Alicia Keys throughout the whole thing.
She wore Alicia Keys' hat. So I was like, is there going to be beef tomorrow?
So I think she's a good performer in the kind of Vegas kind of way, and almost kind of a Broadway way, but obviously she can't sing like that, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like it was kind of a mismatch to have her be the person to lead this Motown thing. Not because of her being a Puerto Rican from the Bronx or whatever, but because she's not a pure singer. She's covering Tina Marie records. I'm like, yo, Tina Marie, spinning in her grave because you can't sing. You can't pull off this song the way she could, you know? So that felt strange to me.
Wonder why like she got chosen. Was it probably because of her name recognition? Like
name recognition.
Probably bring viewers or something.
And she all that, you see all that dancing and running around they did?
Yeah.
Few people could do that.
Yeah.
So,
and I think Key, who's 21's manager, who's 21 Savage manager, who we will get to in a second. She asked really a question on Twitter, like, I wonder if Motown was involved with the development of the performance, because the quick second, honestly, when I came, where did I go? I went to the kitchen to go check on the rice, and I came back and it was over, and I saw like a couple of seconds of it, and then I was like, wait, yeah, this is super weird. Like, why isn't there any like singers?
They brought out Smokey.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah, Smokey was cool.
Looking all surprised because of the Botox.
Yeah.
Speaking of Botox, Kylie seemed like she couldn't move her face.
Kylie
She
did,
had
yeah.
such a crazy frown on. She was like the statues on Easter Island.
So yeah, the biggest, I think one of the probably thing that everyone was talking about, especially on social media, was that the lack of shout out of 21 Savage and him being excluded from the show because of his arrest by ICE. And then him and his mother almost not being able to represent him at the show because the Grammys wouldn't give him tickets until it became a fuss on social media, started by Meezy, the other manager of 21 Savage. So I thought, one, the fact that the producer from This Is America, Ludwig,
yeah,
was the one that shout him out, the last one, and he's one of the last acceptance speeches of the night. That was like, damn, like no one else could do it. And the fact that Post Malone, he wore a shirt, but it was covered up during his performance, and just nothing with no type of like vocal, and just very outward 21 Savage something. I thought that was just like telling.
I'm interested to hear why they're sort of like sharing things after the fact. Like, we tried to make this moment with the artist by having everybody stand in solidarity with Post Malone during his performance. You know, like they wanted to get artists to do that, and they're revealing that now, like today.
Who's they? Who said that?
It's Key,
Okay,
21's manager. So I was like curious, like, why is she sharing this info now, like after the fact? Like maybe because they couldn't pull it off, or was it maybe some political stuff? Like I thought that would have been a great moment, you know, this sort of, you know, show love to 21.
I feel like the Grammys is notoriously apolitical on purpose. I feel like they make people not do things. And, you know, this is me giving the benefit of the doubt to, like, a Post Malone, but I feel like they were like, yeah, you're not wearing that shit out there.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You want to perform here ever again? That's not popping,
that's
or whatever. And I think, you know, going back to my point earlier about, like, hip-hop or whatever, I feel like to really be inclusive of hip-hop, it can't be just a facade. It has to be, like, if this is something that's a hot topic that we're all concerned about within the community of hip-hop, right? It has to be reflected at this event, right? Like, there should be some acknowledgement of 21 Savage, right? Like, and I to me, that not happening kind of felt low-key like a middle finger.
100% dead.
It's bigger than music, man. Like,
exactly. And I just feel like there's enough information out there that it's not something that this guy is a criminal. Like, they made it seem like this guy was a murderer. And so I'm just like, and for Post, and I'm a Post fan, and I think people jump on him a lot, but for him to be so lucky and privileged to be fluid, that he can go between hip hop and pop and rock, and to not acknowledge 21 and one of the biggest songs of the year that y'all made together, like, you have to at that moment take a stand and say, I'm going to do something for 21, and do it publicly and loudly, and to make sure everyone sees it. And it's like, you cannot afford a PR person sending a picture and say, hey, share this, and having it being shared on Twitter, and that's your representation of, like, I'm supporting 21. I just thought, like, this is your moment to finally shut people up, and you fumbled. So I just thought it was super telling. And Casey Musgrave. And so
Musgraves.
So backstory, I remember going to a Rough Trade show, and it was for an indie artist, I think Nia. And I went and I sat there and I was like, oh, she's not. It's like, who's closing? And it was Casey. And I was like, I've never heard of this her before ever. This was like, I want to say, I think it was still cold, so I want to say it was like March of last year. And I stayed for best. Like, you know what? I stayed for a bit. She got to be closing. There's people here that was waiting for her. It was like almost packed. So let me just check this out. And it was great. And I was like, holy shit, this is really cool. I went back to the album. I'm like, hey, this is a really good album. Country, like she's a new country star. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then her album got lauded, and it was just like, it was on everyone's top 10 list and all that stuff. But I was still a little bit surprised how big the Grammys pushed her. Like, I 100% thought that she was going to win everything country, and I 100% thought that she has. This is me believing that Cardi B was going to win, and I 100% thought that she was. I was like, there's no one in hell beating her in any country category. Like, it's just no one in hell. But I still thought it was. I was like, man, I was surprised she won Album of the Year.
You were surprised?
I was surprised. I was a little bit surprised.
Are you about to go off, Tim?
No, I wasn't surprised.
And then so me, I was, yeah, and I definitely, because like, I guess I was surprised because I was rooting for Cardi, but I was like, is she this big?
Yes.
This quick?
Yeah, man.
So
Shania Twain.
You see how you walked into that event and then you heard her perform and you were like, oh, I could fuck with this.
Yeah.
The thing, her appeal is that happens in so many different spheres of music fandom. Like pop fans, indie rock fans, country fans are like, oh, there's something for me here, right? Like you listen to her album and it is a very easy, cool listen,
100%.
Yeah.
right?
100%.
And I think you can never underestimate the power of accessibility. And this is not, personally, I feel like she's good. She's like perfectly fine. The album's perfectly fine. I think she's really talented. I like my stuff a little edgier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think she casts a huge broad net, and I think the Grammys got something really right in recognizing her in that record. Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting that it's an artist who represents the country world.
Yep.
That is the person that has that album that has such broad appeal. Like on Peak Time, when we were doing the best of 2018 shows. So I had, music critics from the New Yorker and Pitchfork, of course, and like Fader and everywhere coming on, and, like a lot of playing their favorite songs of the year. And a lot of them played Casey Musgrave kind of across the board,
Wow.
even at outlets that I wouldn't have expected. But for that to be an artist from the country sphere, I think that's something quite new. Like that's not something that you see every day.
She even said in her speech, like, thank you for paraphrasing, but thank you for allowing me to share my version of country.
Yeah.
So I thought it was, yeah.
The immediate thought is, could she be someone that can make country, I guess, as big as it was in the late 90s, early 2000s again? Because now I see there's her and I think this is the first time ever in country where I saw young people of color that's also becoming big stars. Like there was a guy, oh my God, I'm forgetting both their names, but it's two stars right now, both young, both happening. One was even like on the red carpet, and I just thought, like, is country about to become, I guess, pop music again, enter in that field?
Yeah and no, because here's the thing. Like I feel like country, in certain spheres, people have no idea that country is huge. Like Amazon's whole music business is predicated on country, right? They didn't focus on hip hop like Apple did or Spotify did or whatever. Country is huge and it's never going anywhere. I think country's kind of in a place of flux. It's changing because it couldn't stay the same and still maintain a market share. Will it be like, to me, as big as hip hop in my perspective, whatever? I don't think so.
Nah, man.
I think people want that. I think people want to kind of like make country great again or whatever, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. I think Casey is probably the best ambassador of country that's out right now, though.
Yeah.
Maybe Young Thug needs to do a remix of Dan and Shay's Tequila, because that was kind of a banger.
There's some adjacency with like southern rap and country on the low, and that that's not necessarily a bad idea.
That record, that can definitely get a rapper on it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be the song. I think that's like, what the hell is that? Because I immediately looked up like, what song is he playing? I Shazammed it. I was like, yeah, this is going on the playlist. That song is great. And the two artists I'm thinking of is Kane Brown and Jimmy Allen.
Okay.
Those two, I've seen them, and they're like, especially Kane Allen. Like, I feel like I saw him talk on a red carpet, and I was like, it just felt like, oh yeah, that's the guy who's going to be it for next year. So it's interesting to see where country goes. And then another huge moment, Drake winning best. He won the Grammy for best rap. Was it rap song?
Rap song.
And the speech. So you went up there and essentially said, "Hey kids, Grammys, they're cool, but that shouldn't be your goal." And when he paused between the speech, they cut him. Now they said that they cut him because they cut his mic because they thought he was done with his pause, but that just sounds like convenient, honestly. So I guess the first question is does the Grammy still have the same weight as it did before, or even as before broadly? Not because there's some genres that just didn't really care about the Grammys as much as so rap didn't really care much about the Grammys as like pop music. But in generally, do you think the Grammys are still what people are trying to get?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Drake is just one of those specific cases where he doesn't really care, Mm-hmm. But here's this one time he does care. He shows up, he gets an award, but then he says. I also thought that he was just trying to not beef with anybody in his category because he was basically saying it's all good, guys. You guys are still top selling artists. You guys, sell tickets too. This is just a piece of hardware, I'm Drake. Don't beef with me, So I was just, I don't know, man. Drake is something, but
I think everyone wants a Grammy, but I'm not sure if everyone's trying to actively get it anymore. I feel like it was points, even rappers back in the day, I think they will make an album and they will be mad. They were like, yo, this album was fire and everyone loved it and it would sell, and they would be pissed because why am I not nominated?
Yeah.
And so they'll go and people that are nominated, they go to the award and they're legit pissed. Like, everyone see Pusha T's face when he lost. Like, he was pissed. And rightfully so.
I'm sure, because it's his, his rival or whatever. But I don't know I think the Grammys are respected in hip hop. I think still, man. I think just people want it. It's something to strive for. Like, we want something.
I feel like it's a yes or no, yes and no thing.
Yeah.
Right. I think the prestige of the Grammy, it's still there, right? But it's a bit tarnished. I think the 30-year legacy of ups and downs of them getting shit wrong, the Macklemore shit in 2014, stuff like Flo Rida being nominated, all that stuff. It's diminished how much a Grammy means, which is why Kendrick wouldn't attend or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And from my perspective as a fan of the music and a critic, I'm like, I fuck a Grammy. If they get it right, yay. Do I expect them to get it right? No. Or whatever. Like, I think, honestly, I feel like the hip-hop artists who show up, I feel like Drake lent his credibility to the Grammys and not the other way around.
Oh, yeah. That's 100%.
Right? Like, I feel like he honored them by stepping in the building. Like, this dude, his last year, despite the drama, he's one of the biggest artists in the world, right?
Huge.
So I feel like them giving him an award is a good look for them. Right? And I think them cutting his speech is a bad look for them.
Yeah.
So
I think it depends on what age the artist is at and also where they're trying to go with their career. Because does Ski Mask the Slump God care about getting a Grammy, or does Juice WRLD care? I'm not sure. But I think some of the other artists that are making more of a bid for longevity or where can we go within the pop universe, having one of the Cardi B having that big performance at the Grammys and winning as big as she did, that does send a message to a lot of people that don't necessarily consider themselves rap fans. Her performance was amazing. She was amazing. So I think it depends on where people are trying to go. I also think Travis Scott is trying to go in a larger direction and grow outside of just rap fans or even rap radio.
Oh, he's a pop star at this point.
Right. So I think it does matter on that level. Although I have to say, in terms of treating artists right or not, I don't know if this was their decision. I don't know if the Grammys had any hand in it, but I would have loved to see Young Thug perform by himself and not be this person in the corner of Camila Cabello's like musical number about Cuba.
He ain't got the song for it. That's his problem.
Yeah, he doesn't even have the song.
He gonna
for
bring
it.
out
I would
Elton
love
John?
to, even I don't know. It was, even Post Malone had to like save the show from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean,
Oh, that was so
honestly,
excruciating.
Flea is better looking and sounds better than ever, but Anthony Kiedis was scatting so badly, and then Post Malone started singing, and I was like, he is saving this whole night.
Posty.
Can I mention something about Drake's speech too?
Yeah.
I think an important point that he was making in the speech is like, hey guys, your validation does not begin and end with a Grammy. And I think that's an important lesson that people in hip hop had to like internalize and learn.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you are Juice WRLD, you don't need a Grammy, dog. Like and not just thinking about longevity, but like, yo, bro, your shit is streaming like in the billions or whatever. You don't need it. If you are selling out tours, if you're in Cardi, again, even to the Cardi point, Cardi winning a Grammy is a good look for the Grammys, right? It's a great look for her career. It cements a certain thing, gives her a certain level of prestige or whatever, but it's a great look for the Grammys to acknowledge this Latina black woman from the Bronx who used to be a stripper or whatever, who's doing, because she's the intersection of all these things that we're talking about. Yep. It makes them look relevant in 2019, and if they had not done that, they would not look as relevant.
Yep.
There's just still a long way to go for the Grammys. For the Grammys to represent hip hop fairly, it's just a long process. That this is a good step. I don't know if I'm like kind of like what Manny was saying. I don't know if this is like going to sustain, but I personally think it's a good step forward.
And so another segment I guess I want to go to, and also just I guess to talk a bit where everybody can look through just get their thoughts, the untelevised categories. So I'm always interested into like seeing what categories doesn't get on TV. And so I just felt like this year there were like a ton, and I was surprised by some. Like I had to think like, man, best autumn music, does that usually get not televised?
Wait, best what?
Alternative music.
Alternative. Oh yeah.
Best pop vocal album, I was like, does that usually not get televised?
It's just too much, man.
Yeah, we were just complaining about how long this shit was.
There's no way you're gonna get those in there, man.
If they televised all of this, we'd be watching the Grammys right now.
And so something's popped in my mind. One immediately was, how bad is rock right now? Like, and like how bad were? I felt like for this year, I knew of the nominees, and I was like, all right. I knew of Van Fleet, and I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And I stumbled onto metal stuff. I'm just like, man, how bad are we in rock right now?
It's also so weird for St. Vincent to win the best rock song. Like, is
Yes.
that a rock song? Not in my opinion.
Not at all. I was just like, what?
That's a straight up pop song just because she plays guitar.
Yes.
I felt like they were also throwing a bone there.
Yes,
too.
100%. 100%.
You gotta get.
I fuck with St. Vincent. Let's put
Same.
that on.
Yeah.
But like this
The album
was
was
a
great.
weird
But I was just like,
categorization.
you don't belong in that category. What else category I was interested in? I guess dance electronic album. I was like, this is interesting to see what it got nominated.
I feel like Sophie should have won this shit.
I mean, it is a really random group of nominations, I have to say.
Or Toki must.
Like, it just, if you want to
Toki
talk about
must,
like the relevance of the Grammys, they consistently show that they don't really know much about dance or dance and electronic music.
100%.
Even the fact that they're kind of in the same category, one could argue doesn't really make sense if you're looking at like the way, for instance, iTunes separates EDM, which is dance, and other electronic music. But yeah, it's just such a random collection of things. If you wanted to talk about the groundbreaking album, Sophie definitely should have won. But I think there are so many things that happen that are missing here. And I guess in my world of like electronic music, I feel like people barely talked about the Justice album. They were just like, oh, Justice, we know their name. Let's put them on there.
Yes.
Reggae a fucking category too. Like the Shaggy and Sting shit versus
Yeah.
Protege. All right.
Also, just side note about the categories, I guess this was televised somewhere, but Shaggy presented the best metal category, which was won by High on Fire, and that was just about the most awkward thing ever, including the pan over the auditorium where there was basically like one person every 10 or 20 seats.
Oh my
like
goodness.
all the way back.
I definitely agree with the dance and the EDM. I just felt like that was just like I'm just like, to me it was very much between Sophie and Tokimasa, but I was like, this is just to feel like just like I know that name, let's give it an award type vibe.
Justice is what, 10 years ago? When was Justice real popping? When did the Cross album come out? It was like
about 10 years ago now.
It was a while. So
I love that was my Electro Tim era, right? Yeah. But still, I'm like in 2019, y'all, come
2009
on.
Tim.
I just
out here.
I really much felt I was like, Sophie definitely. I thought Sophie should have won that. And then R&B, I thought it was such a resurgence in R&B, and I was just like, man, this should really shine light on that more. And I love that her won. And I was like, yo, this is her night. It's rightfully so. She's a star. I was happy for Ella. And I was like, yeah, Booed Up was like,
that was dope. That made me happy.
That song was an inescapable. You really can't argue that. Urban Contemporary album, I was like, all right, the Carters, I guess. But
that category seems really...
What is it?
Dusty to me.
Just threw names in that category.
It's like, what, grown and sexy category?
I think there's a Fader article about it. Like, what does it mean, the Urban Contemporary album?
I just think it's just you sing with like 808s occasionally on there, and that's like Urban Contemporary. I'm just like, it was just random. But even still, I was like Miguel. That was a fire album, but you just can't beat Beyonce and Jay-Z together. So I was like, that was cool, and I was happy for her. But like, I guess general thoughts on just like her performance and just R&B right now in general.
R&B is probably one of the most vibrant genres out, like creatively vibrant genres out. I think a lot of people are kind of struggling to get it right. I think the fans know what's up, and are engaged with it. I think her and Summer Walker, a lot of stuff that RCA is doing or whatever R&B is really, really dope. I like her. I think she's super talented. The EP she put out, but I like that she corrected people. It was like, this is an EP.
It's not an album.
It's good. It's good. Did I think it was phenomenal? I didn't. Right? But that she won, I'm like, hell yeah. I'm glad. Yeah. It shows that at least in that realm of R&B, they have some type of awareness about what's really, really happening, what people are engaging with. Yeah. Did
you guys not think that the nominees for Best R&B Album were a little bit, strange, or just like, I don't know. I feel like there's so much R&B coming out that's played and talked about, and yet like Tony Braxton's on there and like Lala Hathaway. I don't know.
I think
who do we recognize? Who names do we recognize, and who has advocates at the label who's going to advocate for them to the voters?
Yeah.
Like Tony, shout out, I love Tony Braxton, right? But chill, I wasn't jacking that album like that, bro. Like, there's so much other R&B shit I think it was just trying to show
an age range, probably, if I were just, because Leon Bridges, like, he's on there.
Man. Yeah, I definitely think it was R&B. It was weird because it was very much like, okay, what labels are pushing for what? And it was like, all right, we can put this down there. Here, we put that down there. So it was kind of like an easy win. I was happy PJ Morton's on there. He's phenomenal, and I'm happy that he took one home with traditional R&B performance, and that again was a tie, which is still.
What's good with ties?
I have never seen that before, so I'm just like.
So it's precedented. Like I looked it up. There's been two other ties, but they never been in big categories. They've been like best music in an animation, something like that or whatever. So it was strange to me that it would be in these two categories, like a hip hop category and an R&B category.
And then I think what was really cool looking at all the winners, I was like, I didn't know there was the Best Americana album, and I was like, what is that?
There's just always these like pockets of categories.
And I'm not even gonna lie, Brandy Carlisle.
She's like the new wave.
I heard of her, but I didn't listen to the album, and I listened to it all last night. And I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah,
jam into it.
She should definitely be a record. It should definitely be a record. So I guess last and general thoughts before we wrap this up is, I guess, that's it. What are some things that stuck, this personal thoughts that happened? For instance, to me, I was like, I asked myself, is Tracy Ross Diana Ross' favorite child? Because
Tracy Ellis
I'm gonna tell you a theory. Every time Diana Ross does something publicly or like just performance wise, Tracy Ellis Ross literally goes out of her way to like, I guess it's like a mommy daughter moment, and it's always her. And I think sometimes she does it on purpose just to be like, I'm Tracy Ellis Ross, well, Diana Ross. I'm the biggest Ross. I'm daughter Ross.
I'm the biggest Ross. I'm the biggest
Ross.
While we're talking about the Ross children, you know that woman that was memed taking a phone call next to Berry Gordy? That is also one of Diana Ross's children, right? That's Rhonda Ross. Yeah. So she's like, no, it's about me now. I'm a meme.
My God. Exactly. That has to be the podcast title.
I mean, general thoughts. I spent a large part of last night and today looking up who all these people were that the camera was panning to, that I was like, who's that guy that looks like a Disney villain? Oh, this is a guy from the Backstreet Boys. Like, who? There was two guys sat behind Smokey Robinson that looked like Scandinavian robot people, and I was like, who are they?
What you call it?
I don't know. I still don't know. I was hoping you guys could clear it up.
I know you're talking about
Stargate.
Yeah, and they memed him, and they were just like, he went viral. They was like, who the hell is this?
Oh, that's the producers,
yeah,
Stargate?
Yeah. Might have been.
So.
But I just remember it going around. I was like, wow, that guy looks like he's a WWE character.
It was like full of Easter eggs, the audience pans.
Offset moment was great with the tongue out. I was like, whoever the camera guy, perfect capture.
And then him doing his album release today with Cardi B's birth video.
So immediately my mind was like, yo, was all this shit a fucking setup? Like the breakup to now? But I was like, I don't want to be that. I was like, it can't be that. That would be really crazy. I was like, I just chalk up the perfect time.
I was a low key, not tight, but I was like, yo, why you brought him up on stage for?
Yeah.
I think she was having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah,
like
I think
she
so
needed
too.
him up there.
Yeah, I think it was just like, I need somebody to actually physically be there because I may
physically
faint.
hold me up because I might faint.
Okay, can I ask, like, when are we gonna see BTS like perform? Like, when they presented and they were in the crowd, I was like,
I loved it.
Why are we like K-pop?
It's happening.
Relevancy, dog. Like,
happening
global. Like, like, where's the
BTS
K-pop moment
exactly
in this shit?
Where they sing Jolene.
Yo, you see them in the crowd? Oh,
that was cute.
I agree, man.
But I mean, on that note, like, why isn't PopCon on the Grammys? Like, why isn't there any credible reggae dancehall artists performing on the Grammys after the kind of year?
What a great year. Yeah. Amazing year. So
I Chronics, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean they need someone like more posse?
They need posse. Yeah.
They should have brought Buju. That would have been crazy.
I hope Coffee performs next year.
Yo,
hope she gets the best new artist now.
Yes, I think she's gonna be huge. Toast is one of my favorite songs right now.
Shit.
Crazy.
It's Toast.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What else general thoughts I had? I thought the show overall, I guess we can go around and give grades. I thought the show was a B+. As if I get a grade stamp, an 87.
Yo, I so wish you were my college professor, bro. Oh,
so
man.
high, man.
I thought it was
Yo, that's so dope.
I legit, I did not change the channel until it went until like 11:30ish. I didn't change the channel until 10:45. 10:45. I was like, then immediately thought about, okay, I need to get my True Detective in. Because
I gotta watch that today.
Come on,
I watched it.
That shit is fire.
Marshalla, amazing, and Walking Dead came back, and I was like, I gotta get these both.
Get out with that.
But yeah, you can go around. I guess who wants to go second?
I get like a 79 to 81, like a C+, B-. I was entertained for once. I mean, last couple Grammys I just wasn't entertained. So to be able to sit through it like from start to finish and enjoy those performances and those moments, I was entertained.
Oh, Ricky Martin's suit. I fucking love that suit.
Yeah, that was a wild suit.
I was like, yeah, this is it.
So the positivity that I give in my score all comes from people like Chloe and Haley performing, from Janelle Monáe performing, from St. Vincent, Dua Lipa.
Yeah, that was great.
Like those, that's what carried it. So I give it if I have to give it a letter grade, I'm gonna give it a C plus or whatever, because yeah. But like the women performances were the best parts.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that was the reason to watch Gaga.
Gaga. We didn't talk about Gaga.
All right, so let me dial it. All right, so boom, because of the Gaga thing and because of her shiny outfit, I'll give it a C plus. It's a C plus show. Yeah,
I thought she was going to shatter her ankles. I was like, oh my God, those heels was crazy. And I'm watching, I was like, please don't do nothing crazy. She was going nuts. And I was like, man, this is really weird that this turned into like a hard turn up song. And I was just like, just get it through, okay. But yeah.
I sort of felt like Gaga was on whatever Miley was on in a weird way. I was just like, I'm not sure. It made me feel like there's still a lot I don't understand about pop music and pop stars. I mean, just in general, I think I would give it like 80 because 80% because 80 out of 100 because I don't really have high hopes for award shows, and I was entertained. Although I think we all can agree that it needs to be significantly shorter.
Just cut like
an hour.
So much stuff. There was a lot of awkward moments where I felt very awkward for all the people on stage. Going back to something you said though, I would be really curious to see a breakdown of what labels all these artists are on, because going back to the issues of sexism and racism, whatever, it also comes down to like this issue of who owns the labels, who's in bed with whom. And I like, on the note of Togi Monster being nominated for the dance electronic category, I thought that was really cool because she put the album out on her own label, Young Art Records. And like, I think it would be an interesting survey to kind of see maybe this year, last year, and next year, how that breaks down and who makes it in or who doesn't make it in. We all think like reggae and dancehall had a huge year. People like Bad Bunny had, and Alpha, and everybody in the Latin world had a huge year. But like, where are they on this? So is it like, are we not paying attention to any other countries, any people speaking other languages, any who doesn't have a big label or a major payola or whatever? I'm not saying they do. I don't know how it works, but I think that's something that I wish that was more reflected in the overall Grammys. That said, though, entertaining. It was entertaining.
I think that's a really good point. I think transparency would really help this, and then would really hold the Grammys accountable. Like, it'd be really cool if after the Grammys to do like, even if it takes like a week, just like a detailed survey, just like where do all these people came from, meaning the labels and who's independent, who was nominated, so you can see the breakdown, and fans and also other people can understand like how, like, where are these people picking from.
You also, one thing to think about too is who's voting on the Grammys, because I can say for sure, right? Like there are a lot of, for instance, like people from the rock world voting on the Grammys, like in half these categories, they're like, I'm just gonna go for whoever's name I've heard of.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know anybody in this category.
But they've never like published that, like, right?
No.
Who's on the committee or whatever?
Never.
They made a play to make it more diverse last year. They added like 900 new voting members,
right.
And it was like, a lot of women, a lot of people of color, a lot of artists and stuff. So, they're trying. They're making an effort, and not just out of the kindness of their hearts, but because they recognize that their relevance is directly tied to getting it right and people feeling represented when they look at the show.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. This was really great. And
thanks for having us.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Oh, does anything y'all want to plug? Y'all want to say, like, you want to push?
Go to pitchfork.com/levels and read these articles.
Tune in to Peak Time every day, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on redbullradio.com or via the app. It's a new music show, so lots of artist interviews, lots of music news, and a ton of new music from all over the globe.
Nice.
I don't really have anything to plug but my Twitter, at @E_DIEP. Follow me and give me some work.
Oh, you know what? I got to shout out a thing. So this is a maybe semi-exclusive. Shout out to NTS Radio in the UK. I'm going to start doing a monthly show for them beginning this month. on the 19th. Now I got to hold myself to finishing it. But yeah, it's called Subject to Change with Timmhotep. That's Timmhotep, Timmhotep. And that's me on Twitter. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That's today's episode of Soundcheck, and thanks for tuning in. You can listen to more episodes of Soundcheck and keep up with everything Hypebeast Radio at hypebeast.com/radio. Subscribe to Soundcheck on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Overcast, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts on. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at ECM_LP and follow Hypebeast Music for more original content and music news. Let us know who you'd like to have on the show, and thanks for listening.